Right then, yesterday was Aston Villa, today Tottenham Hotspur. As we take a look at their season, it's certainly been a tale of two halves, of course, of exceptional, record-breaking club start to the season where they were unbeaten for those opening matches, went downhill since then, but they did finish fifth. Obviously, FA Cup out against City, lost the League Cup as well against Fulham, but it's all about the grades, isn't it? And it's quite the mixed bag, to say the least. Shaka's gone for an A-, Jurgen's gone for a B-, Mark's gone for a C, and Craig has gone for a C-.
Yeah,
well.
That was Villa.
Villa was A's across the board, apart from Gab went for A-. A. Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
No, well, I was going to try to grade it. Again, I'm grading mine on how I graded the other teams.
Right.
So I'd graded Liverpool's season a B.
Right.
Arsenal, wasn't in, and I don't know if I've done it. So City, I would say A-.
Yes.
So I'm kind of
C- is quite. No, you can't judge. You can't mark on the same grade as City, can you? Because expectations are very different.
Well, that's how I'm doing it.
So that's how you're doing it. Right. Okay.
So, I mean, I just cut this. Listen. This whole grading.
Yes.
Fell on its backside.
Right, don't go on about Chelsea again. I don't need to hear that all again about B's and Chelsea.
When pundits come in the studio and gave Chelsea a B,
right, let's focus.
The whole building should have been shut down.
Right, let's focus.
Shut down.
I want to focus.
How can there be a B?
I want to focus on why there's such a big discrepancy. All right, I'm going to let Oggy, please.
All right, yeah, Rob.
Oggy, why a C?
Well, if Tottenham had maintained the start they made when they were fantastic for the first 2 or 3 months of the season, you're probably looking at a B or an A-. But I do think that there are mitigating circumstances why they dropped off. Injuries, some being away at the Asian Cup. But ultimately, they had a good position and they kind of blew it in the second half of the season. And, you know, they had a really bad time in the Carabao Cup. Postecoglou made too many changes. They were knocked out at the first hurdle, really. And then, you know, they probably could have had a better attempt against City in the Cup as well. So, and the way it ended, you know, that game against City, which was really weird. I just think they didn't really sustain the good start they made, and Postecoglou didn't really kind of learn his mistakes, certainly from defending from set pieces. So I don't know how you can go higher than a C. They missed out on the Champions League, but they were probably never going to get there in the first place. So I think fifth is a good season, but it could have been better had injuries not gone against them, had Postecoglou been a bit more pragmatic, had they treated the cups a bit more seriously. So I think C is a fair result considering where they started the season.
Are they not victims of their own success at the start of the season, Mark? Say it was the opposite way round and they finished fifth, given a brilliant run, like the final lap. I think you would have been more generous, wouldn't you? Because at the start of the season, if you were to say, right, we're going to take away Harry Kane, we're going to bring in a brand new manager, yet Spurs are going to finish fifth, but you're only going to grade them a C, people will say, well, why does he hate Spurs like he hates Manchester United?
Yeah, but it's not how you start, it's how you finish, isn't it? And they didn't finish particularly well. So I guess, you know, had they sustained that start and finished in the Champions League, then great. But, you know, they showed a lot of promise. You know, James Maddison was one of the better signings, Mickey van der Ven, good additions to the squad. But I just think they tailed off. And I think when a team tails off like that, you have to find the reasons why. And I think much of it was down to the injuries, but also the coach. Postecoglou had a good season, but had he been a bit more pragmatic, like I say, been a bit tighter at set pieces, learn how to defend a bit better against the better teams, then they could have finished out of the table. So, yes, you could turn the season around and say finishing fifth and a good road would have been great, but they finished fifth after having a great start to the season when some of us are talking about finishing top four. So, I think a C is a fair reflection of what Tottenham's season ended up.
You don't grade. Right, this is the thing, right? You don't get grades on expectations.
I think you do.
No, you don't. Well, you don't. When you're graded at school or university, the grades on results. So I'm, and you know, I have been really positive about Spurs this year and the manager, and to an extent where a lot of people have accused me of having a love-in with Ange Postecoglou. I think what they have done is excellent, and I think they have to build on it. They've been brilliant to watch, but there were a lot of mistakes in there which they hope to iron out. But ultimately, it's about results. And so the results were that they tailed off, that defensively they got poorer, from set pieces they got poorer, the manager got a little bit irky towards the end of the season, the fans were even wanting them to lose a game, because that was going to stop their opponents, their big rivals, getting the title. Minus.
But this is the whole thing, isn't it?
So
otherwise, you'll be right. City get an A, Arsenal get a B, Liverpool get a C, D, E, F, and then you go down. And you go from there because it's all about the start of the season.
Right.
As I said, you lose Harry Kane, you bring in Ange Postecoglou.
And I've piped on about this.
So then a C- is just ridiculous.
Well, I tell you what. If it makes you happy, give them an A+. I don't care. I literally don't care.
The whole system of grading isn't...
I am the worst grader in the world. I left school when I was 15. I couldn't give a stuff.
Right.
To be quite honest with you.
Okay.
B, C's, D's.
So if somebody does give us stuff, Chelsea got a B, by the way.
Chelsea? No, but that was just silly. That was just utterly stupid.
Shaka, you've gone generous. You've gone A-.
Yeah, I've gone A-, and I think you have to grade on expectation. And while I get the point about the great...
No, I'm not even...
All right. While I get the point about the great start before ball was kicked, nobody's expecting Spurs to have that start to the season. I thought they exceeded all expectation. Where they let themselves down is not making some of those in-season adjustments when injuries started to take a little bit of a toll. There was no adjustment from Postecoglou. That for me kind of took a little bit of the gloss away from a season that, again, I think they exceeded every single one of our expectations.
What's been fascinating, Jurgen, is when Ange Postecoglou came in, happy, chirpy, kind of joking with everyone in a very good mood, you could just see as the season went on, that very much went in a decline. He wasn't even making eye contact with journalists at the end of the season. How much of a learning curve has he been on over the last 9 months?
Yeah, I guess for every manager being in the Premier League, every season is a huge learning curve. And it's a grind. And I think that grind you could see at the end of the season. I mean, he obviously started very, very well in the Premier League, being first and giving the hopes to all the Spurs fans. Maybe this is it. This is the season. Maybe we create that big surprise win in the Premier League. And then the second part of the season, it went a little bit more downhill. And you end up in a very respectable fifth spot, which I think is acceptable. But obviously the expectations, at a certain point at Spurs over the last 10 years, I think they went higher and higher. And they want to see trophies. They want to see something, some silverware. And obviously it was the year one after Harry Kane. Absolutely. It's very, very difficult because he's been so exceptional for the club with all the goals that he scored. So it was a tough one for Ange Postecoglou to swallow that he doesn't have Harry Kane available to get him all the goals. But still, the infrastructure of Spurs is one of the best in the world. Stadium is unbelievable. Training grounds, it's second to none. And with that, the expectations rise, and you wanna see some silverware. And the way they went out, and that's why I got, I'm not good in grades, but I ended up with a B- because they are known. Spurs always has been known for their success in the cup competitions, in the League Cup, especially in the FA Cup in the past, and they went out early. So that's disappointing. Then it's respectable, a fifth place. But also the way, obviously, the team then struggled towards the end of the season is, it's something to discuss and it's something to, chat about, as we do. But at the end of the day, Ange knows that down the road, the fans want to see some trophies.
F. Grade F. Tottenham fans, grade F.
Right. Yeah.
You know why?
Because they wanted their team to lose.
No.
No.
No, I didn't like that. But expectations here, because we're not grading. The fact that they whinged and moaned, a lot of them, when there was a downturn towards the end of the season, moaning about the manager, moaning about the tactics, when they had sat through the drivel they'd sat through for 2 or 3 years, was embarrassing. Not for years. Well, maybe some Pochettino was there, to be fair. Not for a long time had they been on the edge of the seats at home every other week like they had been this season. It was seat of the pants stuff. It was great to watch. So I think the Tottenham fans themselves got carried away. And I think next year, it's for them, it's about a bit like Aston Villa in a sense. It's about building. I mean, their season as well, the disappointing in the end, losing in the Conference League. But lots to build on for Tottenham. I would maybe revise to a C.
Wow.
Being pushed, but
Wow.
I'm not going.
Stubborn Burley's changed his mind.
Well,
I won the argument. Mark, Mark, looking ahead to the summer now, we keep reading reports of clear-outs of squad and big rotation. What can we realistically expect? If you're a Spurs fan, what can you expect now?
Well, Tottenham never do big summers, do they? They don't really have a big clear or a big, recruitment drive. And I think obviously last summer when they let Harry Kane go, that was a massive blow. And I think they've still got a little bit of money left from that, and I think they will try and look to bolster their options. But I don't anticipate a busy summer at Tottenham. So it's going to be down to Postecoglou to show that he can kind of get more out of the players he's got. He did bring quite a few in. So whether he can develop as a coach, and that is the big question, is, are Tottenham on the verge of cracking the top four, or has Ange Postecoglou already found that the Premier League has found him out? We don't know. I mean, but he did have a bit of a tail off in the second half of the season. So that is the big question for me, is whether Tottenham can bounce on from this season, or whether it's already we're seeing the tail end of the Postecoglou time. And it sounds ridiculous, but managers get 18 months, 2 years now if they're lucky. And Tottenham's a strange club in the sense that they are probably the most underperforming, underachieving big club in Europe. They've got the best ground in Europe. They've got an amazing training ground, as Jurgen said. They've had Harry Kane, they've had Pochettino, Mourinho, Conte, all these great managers, but they never win anything. So the pressure is on Postecoglou to deliver, but they haven't got the finances or the financial ambition to challenge the Liverpools, the Man United, the Cities, the Chelseas to do it. So I think Ange Postecoglou's hands will be tied slightly in the summer in terms of what he can bring in. So he's going to have to make the players that he's got better, and that is going to be hard because, as we've seen with Postecoglou already, he doesn't really seem to be the sort of coach that will change how he does things to make players better or the team better.
Jurgen, if you get at a point with Daniel Levy and your Postecoglou this week, are you saying to him, look, I need a strike, I need an out-and-out number 9?
Well, I think that the Spurs definitely need reinforcement. I think they need in all departments. Let's leave aside maybe the goalkeeper. Vicario was fantastic, throughout the year. But I think you need to go through the back four. You need to go through, especially the defensive midfield, and you need another 1 or 2 strikers, forwards that deliver you at least 15 goals. 15 goals. I mean, it's Son is pretty much by himself up there, and a bit Kulusevski, and then there's not much left. So I think that they need to get into the market and find some talent and give Ange some help here, because he will be from beginning on a bit under different pressure, under different expectations from the fans than he was in his first year. They want more.
Yeah. You take a look, obviously we saw the defenders, you see the midfield here, and it's trying to get Maddison, but it's interesting that Oggy mentioned Maddison, whose kind of form replicated that of Spurs.
Yeah.
Great when he came in, got injured, and then really didn't do much, did he?
No,
when he came back.
No, and Basuma and Sarr as well, really, in the first half of the season, were super strong in the middle of the park. And that gave them a foundation in there. Obviously, Bentancur spent a chunk of the season out. He's a very talented player. I think Højbjerg's always going to be a sort of squad player there. But yeah, I think the dip in form or the absence of Sarr and particularly Basuma, I think affected Maddison as well, because those two were sort of bodyguards, getting around the field, physical, getting on the ball for him. That affected him. They've got options in the wider positions and in the front line with Kulusevski, Werner coming in full-time, I believe now, Brennan Johnson. But they do, yeah, I agree. They need to go out and get a front man. But we all know they're not going to pay. They're not going to go and fight tooth and nail with Chelsea, United, Arsenal, City, the rest in England to get that top player. So they're going to have to find it from somewhere else. Now, Postecoglou's managed around Asia and obviously Australia and blah, blah, blah. And he did it at Celtic, picked some really good players out for not a lot of money from Japan and countries around that area. It's whether they feel we can go back into that kind of market for untapped talent who are cheaper that can come in and do a job, because doing the job at Celtic, obviously coming in is a little bit easier than coming in and doing it in the Premier League. So maybe that's the way he's going to have to go, because Daniel Levy's not going to give him this huge budget to go and get the top players. And listen, he knew that when he took the job anyway. Yeah. He knew that.
Mark, this time next year, we sat here with Postecoglou still in charge of Spurs.
You know, I think it's 50-50, and I think a lot of the damage was done by the stand-up between Postecoglou and some of the Tottenham fans around the City game. You know, it did annoy a lot of Tottenham fans by saying he didn't understand why they wanted Tottenham to lose that night to stop Arsenal winning the league, and it seems to do away with a lot of the good work. So what it means is that starting next season, if Tottenham have a difficult start or a bad start, then all the goodwill that he built up is gone, and the Tottenham fans, as we know, will get on his back.